Welcome students for this session. Today in this session we are going to learn 9th standard poem Africa written by David Dive. He is an Afro-French poet. That means David belongs to Africa, but he was born and brought up in France. And he died at an young age by air crash. Now let me tell you about this poem. Yes, by reading and looking at the topic itself, we will come to know this poem is about Africa. And this poem also is like dialogue. That means our poet imagines that he is conversing, he is speaking with a mature young man in the Africa. In one place we can see, we can think that he is talking, he imagines that he is talking with mature man in the Africa. In some other place, it shows that he is talking, he imagines that he is talking with Africa itself. Okay, now we can divide this poem into three parts. In first part, he praises the history and the ancestors of Africa. In second part, he explains the hard work of African people. In third part, he expresses the tolerance and eagerness towards freedom of Africans. Okay. Now, let me read the whole poem. Africa, my Africa. Africa are proud warriors in ancestor savannas. Africa of whom my grandmother sings on the banks of the distant river. I have never known you, but your blood flows in my veins. Your beautiful black blood that irrigates the fields, the blood of your sweat, the sweat of your work, the work of your slavery, the slavery of your children. Africa, tell me Africa, is this you, this back that is bent, this back that is breaks under the weight of humiliation, this back trembling with red scars and saying yes to the whip under the midday sun? But a grave voice answers me, impetuous son, the tree young and strong, the tree there. In splendid loneliness amidst wide and faded flowers, that is Africa, your Africa, that grows again patiently, obstinately, and its fruit gradually acquires the bitter taste of liberty. Now let me explain you line by line. Africa, my Africa. Africa are proud warriors in ancestor savannas. Yes. You just look at the first line. Africa, my Africa. That my Africa itself shows the clear picture about the love which our poet has towards his country. That means, for example, we are Indian. We won't say America is my America, no. But we are proud to say my India because we belong to India. Yes, the same belongingness our poet also says, express that my Africa. He tells that Africa is my Africa. That belongingness shows here. And he also tells that Africans are warriors, not ordinary people. They are not simple and ordinary. They are warriors. They are very strong. Africa of whom my grandmother sings on the banks of the distant river. Yes, I have never gone to Africa. Till 1950 he didn't go to Africa. So he says that I heard my grandmother singing about Africa in distant river. That distant denotes that he is very far from Africa. He is distanced from Africa. I have never known you, but your blood flows in my veins. Yes, I have never seen you, I don't know you, but still I am sure that your blood flows in my veins. Your beautiful black blood that irrigates the fields, the blood of your sweat, the sweat of your work, the work of your slavery, the slavery of your children. Here, irrigates means continuous flow of water. Continuous flow of water. Same way, it is the blood, sweat, and the hard work of African people were used by white people. For their growth, they needed the sweat and hard work of African people, and they thought that that means white people thought that the Africans are slaves. Okay, they used African peoples as slaves. Africa, tell me Africa. Yes, here our poet asks Africa to tell. What to tell? Is this you? This back that is bent? This back that breaks under the weight of humiliation? This back trembling with red scars and saying yes to the whip under the midday sun? Yes, white people made African people to work in the scorching sun, in the midday sun, which brought red scars on them. Okay, and the Africans also accepted the whip. Okay, accepted the humiliation and the hardships, but they remained unbent. That means they did not give up their hope for freedom. Okay, but a grave voice answers me. Impetuous sun, the tree young and strong, the tree there in splendid loneliness amidst white and faded flowers. Here, our poet compares tree to the young African men. Okay, tree compares to young African men, or tree compares to Africa, and faded flowers compared to white people. And he's telling this Africa is left alone, surrounded by white people. Okay, that is Africa, your Africa. Yes, you are surrounded by Africa, so that is your Africa that time. But that grows again patiently, obstinately, and its fruit gradually occurs, and the bitter taste of liberty. Yes, he's telling that African accepted all the hardships, all the humiliation. They remained patiently. They didn't give up their hope for freedom. Okay, how the tree starts to grow in the same way, patiently. The African also started to grow. At last, they got the freedom. But you know one thing, they couldn't enjoy the sweetness of freedom. That means the fruit which comes from the tree is not sweet; it is bitter. He tells that, our poet tells that Africans got freedom by losing many of their lives. Okay, so the fruit is not sweet, that is bitter. The freedom they couldn't enjoy fully because they lost many of their relative friends' life. I hope you understood this point.